Let's build a turbo manifold out of custom CNC parts in the garage. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Matt. Let's go ahead and start working on this turbo manifold. But first, we need to make a jig. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got a piece of 3/8 inch steel. It's 2 inches wide, and we have some rod here. So what we're going to do is lop that in half, tack these together, and we'll drill some holes for our turbo manifold flange. And then we have our V-band, in which we'll figure out where we want that to go. I'm just gonna eyeball this, take a look at some of my old photos, because I have misplaced my other jig for the T3 flange. However, we can get in the ballpark and it'll be just fine. Let's go. We're going to use my girlfriend's chair as a trusty workbench. All right, now we're going to use her ex-husband's table saw to stitch weld this together. All right, now that her ex-husband's table did the job, let's go ahead and grind these stitch welds down so that way our manifold will sit flat. All right, now let's drill some holes. We've got the flange all bolted up. She's nice and flush. I think this will be great as a jig, and we'll use this rod in order to essentially create a jig for this thing to sit on. One of the things is I need to use my other jig to figure out what angle I need to make this sit at so that the turbo sits just right. I got my manifold, I guess you could call this a negative, and it's what I'm going to use to build this jig. I have it bolted to my base. And then we have this flange, which is the same size flange that is on the turbo manifold. We'll just tack this up here, make sure it's nice and centered to this T3 flange. And then we'll take that rod iron and make sure this is nice and sturdy and doesn't move. So that way we can progress with this manifold, release this jig. And your boy is finally off the floor. We're no longer using a crate or soapbox. But I got this inexpensive Harbor Freight welding table, so let's get after it. We got her tacked in there. Now I'm just going to fully weld it out. Now I just need to cut this thing free and we can start working on the manifold. Let's do it. Let's go. I'm excited. that we're at this stage, what I'm going to do is clean up all the 90-degree elbows that I got. We're gonna use a wire brush on a grinder, and then we'll start piecing this thing together. It's gonna be fun. Let's go. Now it's time to start fitting these things up. Let's tack up some pieces and just start building a runner. Yet another day, boys and girls. I do have one runner ready to rip. Now I'm going to duplicate this runner on the other side, so it shouldn't be as bad. Here's hoping. Man, this welding helmet is giving me the fits. It's one of those cheap ass auto darkening helmets. It's starting to get on my fucking nerves. But we'll make it work. Let's get after it. Another runner finished up, well, for the most part, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm really happy with how all these are butted up. Not so much here. We do have just a tiny little gap which I can fill in. Now keep in mind, these runners will shrink. I do have a little bit of a gap there. So I think what I'm going to do, same thing on this side over here, is once I weld these up, look at that, burnt the shit out of my finger. That'll teach me for not using protection. Anyhow, so once I weld it up, I'll make a little piece to connect these here. So let's go ahead and move on to one of these longer runners, these outside the number 1 and 4. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get at it. So this is what I am thinking. We'll get this about as close as we can. I think that should be fine. Should clear everything in the engine bay. Actually, Do it like that, it'll probably eat up more space. So I'll probably need something like this here, a little smaller. This guy, 90. That's not a 90. Wish I had got a couple more of those, that would have came in handy. Try that again. 90, we got her straight. Put a little something like so. Piece there. Piece here. Something like so. But we'll have to make that section shorter. So, probably even do a straight piece. Got some thinking to do, and we'll come back. But I think a bend, I think that would be a nice transition. Figure this piece out and get after it. Well, boys and girls, it is another day, and I have the manifold ready to be disassembled and fully welded up with maybe one minor tweak. Check this out. I had hoped to film more of this. My battery died. However, I think we were pretty close to this point, and I am pretty happy with the way this is coming out, aside from this little gap here. What I'll end up doing is just cutting out these little tack welds. I've got one over here I just can't reach with my grinder, but I'm pretty sure if I just rotate it just a little bit, we can close up that gap. It is getting a little tight right here, and all this stuff will shrink up a little bit, but I'm very happy with the fitment this time around. I have everything butted up. I use 0 filler rod, so I was able to tack all this up, just butting everything together. And we are looking pretty damn good. I'm happiest with how this one fit up, but again, I know this stuff shrinks. Not exactly an expert at this stuff. However, we'll see how much it shrinks up, and we'll make it happen. I am pretty decent at filling in gaps, but this time around I wanted to be able to make this as nice looking as possible. This is a skill set I'm constantly working on, and I feel like I've taken my time with this, got it as close as I can get it to the best of my abilities with the minimal amount of hand tools that I have here in the garage. I think it looks pretty fantastic. So let's cut off those runners and fully weld them up. That way we can wrap this project up. It's already been 3 or 4 days. I'm ready to get this done. However, I do feel like I'm going to run out of gas. Argon, not gas from eating beans. Anyways, let's go. We've got this thing back purging. Let's go ahead and give this thing a try. Not quite sure what settings I need, but let's give it a whirl. All right, let's take a look and see how we did. It is helpful. I'm not the best of welders, obviously, but I was able to completely weld this up without stopping. Went all the way around. Looks like I could adjust my gas a little bit. I'm gonna try a smaller cup size. And one of the cool things is we can take this head off of this table. I'm going to use a clamp to clamp this up so that way I can weld these as well using this turntable. So let's go ahead and switch this out. All right, we're all set up here. Let's see if we can't do a little bit better of a job. Expect that I won't be able to go all the way around due to some of these obstacles, but we'll give it a shot though. I'm gonna try and get a comfortable spot, get my speed down how I want it. All right, let's go to town on this thing. It is another day. I think this is day number 5 that we've been working on this turbo manifold. Thus far, I have 2 runners welded out, fully welded out. Anyhow, let's get after runner number 3, which I have set up over here, and we'll wrap this project up. I should be able to finish it today. Let's get after it. So one of the things I've found with using this turntable is I think it works better for myself if I just weld it out until I can't reach, advance the table to a point where I can reach, and then go back and continue to finish welding. So I'm going to continue to use that method. So wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. All right, let's start here. Got a nice little gap there to fill. So we'll start on at a point where it's nice and butted up. Let's get after it. Next joint. Keep pushing. Got my tungsten all sharpened up. Can't make something happen here. I had ran out of shielding gas, my argon. Went ahead and cleaned this thing up a little bit. Let's get back after it. Runner to weld up here. Let's get after it. I have all the runners fully welded up. I'm really happy with the way they came out. Now it's time to weld these runners onto the manifold and wrap this project up. That's where everything starts to come together. It's really exciting. let's get after it. All right, let's weld these back runners in first. Try and square that up the best that I can. I don't look too shabby. Well, I'm down to the last runner. I'm going to give you a peek at the progress, but I'm ready to get this last runner done and we can put on the wastegate flange and we'll be finished with this thing. Check this out. Flange welds are looking pretty nice. I'll get a better close-up with my phone, but we've got all three runners on. Now we're working on the fourth. So let's go ahead and wrap this up so we can put this thing to use. Almost there, boys and girls. Got our back purging. Go ahead and hit it. Got this thing fully welded out with the exception of the wastegate flange, and I like to weld the inside of the flange where the runners are just to prevent any cracking or breaking down the road. But let me show you how it's looking. Shoo! Look at that. Almost there. We're about 95% there. Tack this thing on real quick and then we'll weld it out. Well, that about does it for this episode. The manifold is all nice and finished. Hopefully you enjoyed this content. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Peace out.